This modern industrial service depot is the home of Ausgrid in Sydney, the largest electricity distributor on the east coast of Australia. And I'm here to find out about a big shift in the company's operations, a move to a fully electric fleet of vehicles. The Ausgrid Vehicle Fleet and Service Depot was selected as a case study for the Strategic Electric Vehicle Integration Research Project, or SEVI for short, supported by Race for 2030. Today I'm going to talk to the research team and Ausgrid fleet managers to find out what they have learned about the planning, technologies and practicalities to consider with a transition to an electric vehicle fleet. Associate Professor Scott Dwyer from the University of Technology in Sydney is co-chief investigator of the SEVI project.
Fleet vehicles have a really important role to play in the energy transition. Transport emissions in Australia are due to become the largest source of emissions of the economy by 2030, overtaking power generation. So fleet vehicles are actually responsible for half of new car sales. So almost half of the new cars bought in Australia a year, roughly a million or more, go into businesses. At the end of the lifetime, those vehicles then go into the used car market, which in Australia doesn't have a lot of electric vehicles at the moment. So the role of fleets in decarbonisation and the transition is really to help more and more people access lower cost electric vehicles and decarbonise that sector faster than would be otherwise.
How did you go about designing the research project?
Firstly, it was designed to be exploratory in nature. This is a very fast and dynamic moving sector, so it's an industry-led project. That meant we were really attuned to the types of questions that businesses and industry and government were really struggling with. That meant we could really fine-tune our findings to inform policy and practice, but at the same time not just theorising about what we needed to do to decarbonise this transport sector through fleets.
Ausgrid is integrating EVs into their fleet in stages, with an aim of reaching 900 electric cars, vans and trucks by 2029. Tim Kinnock is the Fleet Engineering and Strategy Manager at Ausgrid and is responsible for overseeing the organisation's transition to EVs. Tim, what are some of the financial considerations with a big move to electric vehicles like you're doing at Ausgrid?
Yeah, so for a fleet manager, I've got to think about the car and the charging as well. We've got an element of fast charging in every location, so people can be in and out when they need to be. But then if you're going to drive into a location and be there all day, we've got slower charging, which is a lot cheaper. It was based on scaling. So we started with a certain level that we thought would be sufficient. There's no golden ratio that we've found yet, but through testing, we're still working through what that sweet spot is.
What kind of learnings are coming from infrastructure needs as far as charging goes?
The really good benefit of EVs is the reduction in particularly fuel spend, but also maintenance. There's far less parts to service. Our biggest savings have come from moving people out of a diesel ute, or where possible, we've moved them into a passenger vehicle. So there's a huge saving there on that diesel component.
What about the human aspect? How have staff handled this transition?
A lot of people are really nervous to drive an EV purely because they've never plugged it in, they don't know how it works, and it's that sort of fear of the unknown. But what we've found is that as soon as someone gets in one, they kind of go, oh, actually, this is really easy and I really like it. We've actually had a lot of benefit because it was a priority for the leadership of the business. Having the leadership team say, this is what we're going to do, it's going to be Ausgrid leading the way, makes it 10 times easier than it would have been.
Energy system modelling is a handy way for fleet operators to see what's really going on with their electricity use. By tying in solar generation and battery storage, vehicle fleets can use more of the energy produced on site, therefore easing the pressure on the grid and keeping charging costs down. Dr. Ibrahim is an adjunct fellow at the University of Technology Sydney Institute for Sustainable Futures and is an expert in energy system modelling. He has recently joined Ausgrid as a senior demand management analyst. What's the role of scenario modelling in transitioning to greater EV uptake?
So very important supporting the main objectives of this fleet in a way that they can use the electric vehicle fleets for different kind of trips and charging them in a smart way that allow the electric vehicle fleet operator to run the fleet without overloading the network. We noticed that with smart charging strategy, we could run the fleet within the existing infrastructure. You could run a smart way where you can charge the electric vehicle based on the regular use of them, as well as the time window of charging. So you could charge your vehicle into the solar window, and also that could be overnight where there is also no peak demand. So that's very important to reduce the loading in the network, creating an extra room, improve the utilization, as well as reducing the tariff prices.
What would be the main messaging or advice that you would give other operators as they're looking to electrify their fleet?
It's understandable that any new electric vehicle fleet, they don't have data, but at least they can understand how you could manage the electric vehicle charging strategies. There are different benefits. We can think about the EV fleet as a big battery that can help customer to export more. And we have to think about the also environmental and sustainability impacts if we utilize the charging of the electric vehicle in the right time.
So we understand the scale of the transition and some of the ways to best set up for charging and fleet management. But what about upfront costs versus overall savings? Nick Black is the head of fleet, logistics and electric vehicle charging infrastructure at Ausgrid.
Well, the future is in electricity, and what we want to do is learn by example. What we've found is there is initially a higher sort of capital expenditure on the cars, but we find that the operating cost comes right down. So that's not only about the fuel, there's a huge saving there per kilometre travelled, but it's also about the maintenance. The maintenance is a lot more simplified than the internal combustion engine.
What have been some of the infrastructure challenges with this move?
Getting the right mix of charging infrastructure, the right types of vehicles. What we've tried to do is develop a charging model that allows for the slower overnight charging. So we've got available spots for that, but also the faster charging. So for instance, here with the truck we have behind us, it's currently fast charging. So we can get it back out in the field and get it ready to go quickly.
People often assume bigger is best when it comes to charging. Is that the case?
Bigger is not always best with charging. So the faster it charges, the more impact it can have on the battery and the longevity of that battery. So what we really want to do is have a mix of charging types. So we have the slower charging as well as the faster charging when you need that top up.
In a transition like this, it's easy to focus on infrastructure. What's been some of the feedback from the human user experience?
It's a technology change, but it's really a behavioural change for those users. We want to educate not only our staff, but we also want to educate the community. And we've launched an EV experience where employees can borrow a vehicle on the weekend and use it with their family, take it to the beach, give it a go. And we've had so much positive feedback around that, where people have said, there's no way I'm never getting an EV. They try it, they love it, and then they're converted, and they're now talking about going out to purchase an electric vehicle.
If you think about it, there are a number of considerations to be made in regards to the changes in day-to-day operations and how they are managed. Things like route planning, vehicle availability, and charging schedules all need careful thought. And like just mentioned, human behaviour is one of the most crucial. Kriti Nagrath is a research principal at the Institute for Sustainable Futures and has extensive experience in industry-focused sustainability research. How was the role of the end user, the staff who drive the cars, considered in the research?
So it's really important to understand what are the steps that people are taking. There is a distinction between how they were operating their petrol and diesel cars, especially because, you have these chargers, as you can see, you need to physically plug in and out. Once drivers got into the car, they loved the experience, they loved how quiet the cars were. Over 80% of the staff supported the transition. They saw the environmental benefits. They saw the benefit of Ausgrid as an energy company leading this transition into electrification. It aligned with their brand values. I think for fleet managers, it's really important to understand the journey, like what are the physical steps that their staff are taking and what is that diversity of user types? What are the things that are holding people back? Once the fleet managers figure out where their staff is sitting, they can then develop interventions that help those groups to move forward.
Shared ambition to get to net zero, coupled with the sound business model, is helping the growing movement to shift to electric vehicle fleets. And we have learned there is a lot more to it than just swapping fuel for electric. This project provides valuable guidance to businesses across the country that are at the start of the journey. What's on the horizon with the electrification of fleets?
The thing we'd really like to achieve from the SEVI project is some really practical tools and lessons to help different businesses and governments decarbonise through fleet electrification. What we'll see is trying to scale and expand and use some of the lessons from these early trailblazers to really inform and help other fleets electrify their transport.
You can find out more about the fleet EV integration at the Ausgrid depot and take a look at the other case studies in the SEVI research project by visiting racefor2030.com.au.